did not suffer and die to give me an education to slight, oppress, or discourage my people. Because whatsoever education I acquired out of their sacrifice of over 300 years, I shall use for the salvation of the 400 million black people of the world. And the day when I forsake my people, may God Almighty say there shall be no more life for you. I unequivocally rejected the racist assumption of much white American Christianity, namely that God had created a black man inferior and that he had intended Negroes to be a servant class, hewers of wood and drawers of water. Well, I predicated my view of man on the doctrine of Imago Dei. All men, regardless of color, are created in the image of God. Now, from this premise followed the equality of all men and the brotherhood of all men. The biblical injunction of Acts 17:26 reminds us that he created of one blood all nations of men that dwell on the face of the earth. I was most interested in brotherhood within his own race. Because if Negroes are created in God's image and Negroes are black, then God must, in some sense, be black. If the white man has the idea of a white God, let him worship his God as he desires. We have found a new ideal, because whilst our God has no color, and yet it is human to see everything through one's own spectacles, and since the white people have seen their God through their white spectacles, we have only now started to see our God through our own spectacles. But we believe in the God of Ethiopia, the everlasting God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, the one God of all ages. That is the God in whom we believe, but we shall worship him through the spectacles of Ethiopia. For 250 years, we have struggled under the burden and rigors of slavery. We were maimed, we were brutalized, we were ravaged in every way. We are men. We have hopes, we have passions, we have feelings, we have desires just like any other race. The cry is raised all over the world of Canada for the Canadians, of America for the Americans, of England for the English, of France for the French, of Germany for the Germans. Do you think it unreasonable that we, the blacks of the world, should raise the cry of Africa for the Africans? The Negro is a man. We represent the new Negro. His back is not yet against the wall. We do not want his back against the wall because that would be a peculiar and desperate position. We do not want him there. It is because of this that we are asking for fair compromise. Where the Belgians have control of the Belgian Congo, which they cannot use, they have not the resources to develop nor the intelligence. The French have more territory than they can develop. There are certain parts of Africa in which they cannot live at all. So it is for you to come together and give us the United States of Africa. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are not going to be a race without a country. God never intended it, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence in us as men. We are men, human beings, capable of the same acts as any other race, possessing under fair circumstances the same intelligence as any other race. Now Africa's been sleeping, not dead, only sleeping. Today Africa is walking around not only on our feet, but on our brains. You can enslave as was done for 300 years the bodies of men. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men. But you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men. Dive down, black men, and dig. Reach up, black men and women, and pull all nature's knowledge to you. Turn ye around and make a conquest of everything, north and south, east and west. And then when you have wrought well, you will have merited God's blessing. You will have become God's chosen people, and naturally you will become leaders of the world. And as you bow down to the white man today, so a lot of races bow down to you and call you a race of masters because of the superiority of your mind and your achievements. Because no race has the last word on culture and on civilization. They do not know what we are capable of. They do not know what we are thinking. They're thinking in terms of dreadnoughts, battleships, aeroplanes, submarines. You know what we're thinking about? That is our own private business. So give us credit for being able to use our minds. And with people becoming conscious of themselves, determined to use their minds, you do not know to what extent they can go. Liberate the minds of men, and ultimately you will liberate the bodies of men. We love the white race, not for social fellowship, but for the common brotherhood of God intended we should live. What satisfaction can anyone get in being happy and see his brother wallowing in filth, dirt, and disease? How can you be happy living in luxury and your brother's living in disease? And then when you try to help the one out of the disease, the subtle culprit talks about disloyalty. Black men of Carthage, black men of Ethiopia, of Timbuktu, of Alexandria gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt. Because classes, nations, races have been quite for over 4 centuries. who was merely born abuse, insult, humiliation, whose forbearance can only be compared to the prophet Job, has likewise lifted his bowed head and raised it up to God's skies and cried out, I am a man, and demand a man's chance and a man's treatment in this world. But I shall teach the black man to see beauty in his own kind and stop bleaching his skin and otherwise looking like what he's not. Back in the days of slavery, race mixture, miscegenation had occurred because the African woman had no protection from the slave master. Therefore, there is no need today for black people to themselves freely continue a practice that smacks so much of slavery. Our critics say that the race problem will be solved through higher education, through better education, that black and white will come together, that they will never happen until Africa is redeemed. Because if those who like W.E.B. Du Bois believe that the race problem will be solved in America through higher education, they will walk between now and eternity and never see the problem solved. God made man Lord of his creation, gave him possession and ownership of the world. And you have been so darned lazy that you've allowed the other fellow to run away with the whole world, and now he's bluffing you and telling you that the world belongs to him and that you have no part in it. I don't have to apologize to anybody for being black, because God Almighty knew exactly what he was doing when he made me black. If black people knew their glorious past, then they would be more inclined to respect themselves. Yes, you heard of Johnny Walker Red and black. Well, he had his adversities, but he's still going strong. Well, I intend with your help and God's grace to continue, because my work has only just begun. And future generations shall have in their hands the guide by which they shall know the sins of the 20th century. I know, and I know you too believe in time, but we shall wait patiently for 200 years if need be to face our enemies through our posterity. When my enemies are satisfied, in life I shall come back, or in death even to serve you as I served before. In life I shall be the same, in death I shall be a terror to the foes. If death has power, then count on me to be the real Marcus Garvey I would like to be. If I may come in an earthquake or a plague or a pestilence or as God would have me, then be assured that I shall never desert you and make your enemies triumph over you. Will I not go to hell 1,000,000 times for you? If I die in Atlanta, my work will only just then begin. For I shall live in the physical or the spiritual to see the day of Africa's glory. When I am dead, wrap the mantle of the red, the black, and the green around me, for in the new life I shall rise up with God's grace and blessings to lead the millions up the heights and the triumph that you well know. Look for me in a world when there's a storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and right. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and
any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own, to make ourselves free men. Our great scholars, having passed through the colleges and universities, have thrown away the blessed record. Babylon did it. Assyria did it. France under Napoleon did it. Germany under Prince von Bismarck did it. England under America under George Washington did it. Africa with 400 million black people can do it. If you cannot do it, if you are not prepared to do it, then you will die. You race of cowards, you race of imbeciles, you race of good for nothing. If you cannot do what other men have done, what other nations have done, what other races have done, then you have better die. Can we do it? We can do it. We shall do it. We pray to God for vision and for leadership. And He has given us a universal vision. A vision that will not limit our possibilities to America. A vision that will not limit our possibilities to the West Indies, but a vision that said there must be a free and redeemed Africa. Christ the crucified, Christ the despised. We appeal to you for help, for succor, for leadership. When you endeavor to carry your burden up the heights of Calvary, when white men scorned you, when white men scorned you, when white men spat upon you, when white men pierced your side out of which blood and water gushed forth, it was a black man in the name of Simon the Syrian who took your cross and bore it up the heights of Calvary. And now that we are bearing our burden, it being so heavy, we just ask that you just help us on up the heights. Oh, yes, the cause is grand, the cause is glory. Surely we shall not turn back. Oh, sail on, sail on, sail on, oh mighty ship of state, sail on until the flag of the red, the black, and the green is perched upon the hills of Africa. Because the time has come for the black man to forget his hero worship of other races and to create and emulate heroes of his own. We must canonize our own saints, create our own martyrs, and elevate the positions of fame and honor black men and women who have made a distinct contribution to our racial history. Sojourner Truth is worthy of a place of sainthood alongside the Joan of Arc. Crispus Attucks and George William Gordon are entitled to the halo of martyrdom with no less glory than the martyrs of any other race. Toussaint Louverture's brilliancy as a soldier or a statesman outshone that of any other people. Hence he's entitled to the highest place as a hero among men. Because Africa's created millions and countless millions of black men and women in war and peace, whose luster and bravery outshone that of any other people. So why not see good and perfection in ourselves? We must inspire our literature and promulgate the doctrine of our own without any apologies to the powers that be. That right is ours and God. Let sentiments and cross opinions go to the winds. We are entitled to our own opinion and are not obligated to or bound by the opinions of others. If others laugh at you, return the laughter to them. If they mimic you, return the compliment with equal force. Because they have no more right to dishonor, discredit you in manhood than you have in dealing with them. Honor them when they honor you. Disrespect and disregard them when they vilely treat you. Their arrogance is but skin deep, an assumption that has no foundation in morals or in law. They have sprung from the same family tree of obscurity as we have. Their history is as rude in its primitiveness as ours. Their ancestors were running wild in living in trees of branches like monkeys as ours. They made human sacrifices, ate the flesh of their own dead and wild meat from beasts for centuries, even as they have accused us of doing. Their cannibalism is more prolonged than ours. When we were embracing the banks of the Nile, they were still drinking blood out of the skulls of their conquered dead. After our civilization had reached the noonday of progress, they were still living in holes with bats, rats, and other insects and animals. After we had already unfathomed the mystery of the stars and reduced the heavenly constellations to minute and regular calculus, there were still backwoodsmen living in ignorance and in blatant darkness. The world is indebted to us for the benefits of civilization. They stole our arts and sciences from Africa. Then why should we be ashamed of ourselves? Their modern improvement to be reflected and resurrected by our generation and our posterity. Why should we be discouraged if somebody laughs at us today? Who's to tell what tomorrow will bring forth? Did they not laugh at Christ, Moses, Muhammad? Was there another Carthage, Greece, and Rome? So we see and have changes every day. So pray, work, be steadfast, and be not dismayed. Because as the Jew is held together by his religion, the white race is by the assumption and the unwritten law of superiority, the Mongolian by the precious tie of blood. Likewise, the black man must unite in one grand racial hierarchy. Our union must know no clime, no nationality, but let us all hold together in every country, in every clime, making a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. Let no influence but your own rouse you in time of peace and time of war. Hear all, but attend only to that which concerns you. Your allegiance shall be to your God, your race, your country. Remember that the Jew in his political and economic origins always first the Jew. The white man is first a white man under all circumstances, so you can do no less. Be black, buy black, think black, and all else will take care of itself. Let no one inoculate you with evil doctrines to suit his own convenience. Charity begins at home. So first to thyself be true, and thou canst not then be false to no man. Because God and nature first made us what we are. And out of our own creative genius, we make ourselves what we want to be. Follow always that great law. Let God and the sky be our limit and eternity our measurement. There is no height to which you cannot climb without the active intelligence of your own mind. Mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own mind. And today, being scientifically the weaker race, you shall treat others only as they treat you. But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children. And make sure that we have a race of scientists par excellence. For in religion and science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. Never forget your God. Remember that we live, work, and pray for a binding racial hierarchy, whose only natural, spiritual, and political limits shall be God and Africa at home and abroad. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. One love. Brothers and sisters, Marcus, Mosiah, Bobby.
What do you know about the multiverse?
Let's get the crew up in here.
Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the Multiverse Podcast. I'm your host, Bad Ty Bricks, here with my esteemed team of the best team in the world. I'll just say. My man to my immediate left, I believe that is, or my right, whichever. We're not going to go through that. We have Minnie Morales. We have right under me, that's easy enough, the beautiful Holly Noon, and to her immediate left or right, whichever you want to call it, we have good Tyrone Thornhill himself. What's up, guys? What's going on?
I guess I'll jump in here. The week has been great so far. It's a great thing to do at the midpoint so we can finish it even stronger.
Exactly.
Oh, wow, that was good. I can't top that.
I like you, man. How was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend. I mean, it was good. It was busy, but I mean, yeah, so far I'm ready for the weekend again.
Always.
Always.
What about you, Minnie? Any exciting things happening for you this weekend?
This weekend, I hosted a roast battle. That was fun. That was dope. But yeah, I learned a good life lesson. So that taught me more than anything else. I learned a great life lesson this weekend, and that's better than anything else that could have happened.
Well,
Is it something that you're comfortable sharing with the class, or is it?
Oh yeah, no, like
okay.
You know, people differ in what they deem as actual knowledge or not. But this is what I found out: is when it comes to material things, especially money counting as a material thing, if let's say you lose out on some money, right? It's always better to look at it as in be glad that you were able to lose out on that money and still be able to provide for yourself than if you would have lost out of that money and not had the money to be able to replace it. It's a whole different kind of lifestyle. So if you're in the kind of lifestyle that happens and you still be able to live, then be grateful for that. And don't sit there and cry about your sour grapes about the money that was lost, but be grateful that you're able to keep living even though that circumstance happened. And maybe that's part of the big plan.
Okay. All right.
You see what I'm saying? Ain't gonna make sense.
That's one way to look at things. It's a positive way to look at things. Guys, the first thing that you saw when you came in was, the great Marcus Garvey. He is who we spotlighted this week. Last week we spotlighted Maya Angelou. This week it's Marcus Garvey. I just wanted to go around the board and just see if there's anything that's stood out about Marcus Garvey to any of you. Whoever wants to jump out there, I'd love to hear some of the things that you've taken away from some of his speeches or just some of his beliefs or whatever. Anybody?
First, if you got anything.
Anybody?
I just got done talking. I don't want to talk. I just got done talking. So let Tyrone go first.
Well, I noticed in his speech, and I've noticed this is a theme, and we'll probably get deeper into it for a lot of kind of activist leaders and stuff like that, is that they speak on materialism and its danger to all of us, but to the Black community at large, to Black folks, people who descend from Africa, and I think that's something that's often missed when people discuss when people discuss anything related to like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X or whoever else. They always discuss it as like, oh, they had this beautiful dream of everybody getting along or whatever, or like in Malcolm X's case, he was we wouldn't even go into what America taught us about Malcolm X versus what the truth was. But what is often missed is that these folks saw the problem with going down the path that we were going and tried to warn so many people, and that's what kind of made them the most dangerous to the powers that be, to the establishment. And Marcus Garvey is another one of those people who you can hear him talking about materialism and its effect on our culture. And I always that stands out to me so much. And when I hear that, I'm like, yes, preach, absolutely. So that's the thing that stood out in his speech, is that he touched on that, touched on science. And while I'm not a religious person, he touched on spirituality being something that science and religion being something that can pull us out of that tailspin, which is materialism. So I say dig deeper into that, folks, if you're looking for some place to really start digging.
You know what I heard when I first heard this speech, Tyrone? I thought of you immediately when he started talking. I'm so serious. I was like, Tyrone's definitely going to speak on this. How about you, Holly? Anything?
Yeah. So for me, when I think of Marcus Garvey, I think at the time of him just being very, ahead of his time and being very Black pride, and then just advocating that being pro-Black is okay, and understanding your ancestry and where you come from, and if you're aligned with that, that's okay. And maybe not everyone agrees. So I think that's what I think, because now, in sense like George Floyd and where we're kind of at in this pro-Black movement, in terms, not that it didn't exist, but now allies understanding like what it means to be aligned, and that pro-Black doesn't necessarily mean anti-white. And that's not to say that's what Marcus Garvey was necessarily saying, but I think just to advocate for being pro-Black and being proud of your heritage and where you come from, I think that's what always stands out for me when it comes to him.
Absolutely. In that speech specifically, he kind of like detailed that, that statement you just made in a little more detail. He basically was saying that. He was like, look, everybody else is okay with being, loving who they are. Why can't we be okay? Why should you be ashamed of loving yourself when everybody around you seems to do it freely? And I thought that really stood out in one of the things that really stood out in that speech. How about you, Minnie?
Well, first of all, we all got to give it up. Before Biggie, the sexual fat man was Mr. Marcus Garvey, right? We got to give it up. Before Biggie, before Fat Luther, all that. So we got to give it. We got to give it for Marcus first. We got to start with that. Second of all, the man was a shrewd and grave businessman. Let's start off with that as well. because people need to study not only the teachings that he did on that point, but the fact that he was a like out to do man. Like the man had money, he had businesses. He wasn't just talking from a standpoint of not a position of kind of a power. You know what I'm saying? So that's what also galvanized a lot of people, seeing that he was in a position of power. Being a black man at that time was a hard thing to do. So that's a good thing for people to grasp on and read on to that. And of course, like you said, knowing yourself, he was bigger than knowing yourself, knowing where your roots come from, so you know who you are. That's very important. But also, the fact that he, whether you are like Tyrone was saying, whether you are religious or not, the fact that he always tied religion and science was always something particular to me and kind of beautiful to me, because most people don't. Whether you're on east side, they usually try not to marry each other, but he was big on like both. Like science is on your side, and mostly he's talking about black. Because that you got to remember what time this was. This was back when people were telling us that we were like highly, way less advanced than other races and things of that nature. So you got to remember what the times were. So he was basically telling them, like, science is on your side. We were the first people to ever come out. We have been highly intelligent for a long time. We have done things that people can't match. And, and religion is on your side, because if you look back long enough, you're going to find that, Jesus is black and all the other stuff, if you're going to believe in that. So, you know what I'm saying? So he was giving it to you from both sides. And I always appreciated the hell out of that.
Now, I appreciate you, pointing that out. One of the things that stood out to me in this speech, most importantly, is first and foremost, this was almost 100 years ago, guys. Like that's number one. Number two is he was speaking about things that we're still dealing with today. One of the things that he talked about was establishing black businesses, establishing black communities, and having these established communities like other communities had already established. This is something we're still, toying with now. Like we have a lot of people like, enacting that now, and finally it's finally getting the points. But to see that this man was so before his time, like we're 100 years ago, he's talking about all of the things that are relevant today. That just speaks volumes of where this man, like whether it was spiritual or scientific, whatever it was, this man had a hold and a grip on reality like no other person may have had during that time. Because to be able to speak about these things, and with the passion and kind of just the love that he had for black people, it just when I heard this speech, guys, I had to play it. I was like, there's no way that I can go through the show without playing this and letting people who have never heard of Marcus Garvey or even understand what he, because sometimes Marcus Garvey gets a bad rap, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because one of the things that he kind of based his whole position on was saying that black people should separate. We should go back to Africa. We should not be here. We shouldn't try to coexist. We should just establish our own thing. I don't necessarily believe that, but I do believe that he, in terms of why he thought that, in the times where he was, it made a lot of sense. I mean, if we're getting killed and abused and treated, like we don't have any sense and all of that, then why are we here? And one of the things that I thought, and I know you caught this one too, Tyrone. He said, whenever you depend on another race, you open yourself up to basically be controlled and you know what I'm saying, and everything like that. So I thought that was a really good point to point out. But Marcus Garvey, like I said, a man way before his time, and just had to play that for you. But go ahead, Tyrone.
Yeah, another perspective on that is that not only was he aware of these things, but because he so clearly was able to to vocalize those things and and be such a warning for people like nearly 100 years ago, like you said, and then those same warnings happen today. If nothing else is proof and is just a constant reminder that the issues that we're dealing with are like mostly systemic. So with a little bit of the benefit of 100 years of education and hindsight and knowledge and everything, plus just a little bit of a different perspective. When I hear him, like you're saying, like when you hear him talk about going back to Africa and kind of reuniting with your ancestral lands and stuff, I don't like. To me, it's like, how could you blame that? Like, how could you give somebody a bad rap because they're talking like that, as your entire system is built to hold them down and has been doing so successfully for generations, and from that point will continue to do so. I mean, we, like you said, we're dealing with the same issues today. I mean, if you look at where we are today, I mean, it is to the point of like nearly boiling over, and we've had several of those points throughout history, and it just seems like this perpetual cycle. The good news is now it seems to be a more mainstream part of the conversation. We're talking about Marcus Garvey in a very in a very positive and in a very public light, understanding his ideas and understanding his complaints about the way things were, the way things were set up, about why things are the way they are, what we can do to move forward and move up. And it is a little bit of progress for Black culture, I think, but also a lot of the change and a lot of the ways we're going to get out of these things is to dismantle entire systems, which is it's going to take a lot more than just Black folks to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. To that point, I want to piggyback off that. A lot of the bad rap was because I think a lot of people didn't really think to delve deeper and wonder why he was saying what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But this initial statement that I posted up here, this is for our audio listeners. I'll just read it to you. This is a quote by Marcus Garvey that speaks volumes. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. It seems as though, Marcus Garvey's whole, idea of Black people going back to Africa was in essence so you could find out where you come from and find out what the real history, not this belief that you guys have kind of accepted that that you're less than, or you don't deserve, or you're undeserving, or you're all of this. He saw this. He saw his people accepting this mindset, and he felt like, look, in order to change that mindset, you have to understand where you came from. And a lot of us weren't able to reconnect with our roots and reconnect with the origins and understand all of the things that he spoke on, which he spoke on the science of the scientific what's the why am I lost for words right now? How Africans were able to discover science before a lot of other people and everything like that. So he was talking about all of the things that we could be acclaimed for and celebrated for, but you have no knowledge of it because you don't, and everything like that. Holly, you had something you wanted to add?
Well, I was going to say his perspective is somewhat interesting, being born in Jamaica and then immigrating to the US. So I think he has that perspective growing up in a country that you see a lot of people that look like you. And so I think to come to America and then see that and then try to advocate on our behalf to say, hey guys, like, it doesn't start with slavery. Like, you need to go back to Africa. And I think that's why he's able to have more of the foresight, I think, than those who were, descendant of African slaves or were born, free, but if their family has only ever known to be enslaved, I mean, it's kind of hard to think that there are other possibilities. And so it's great that he had the foresight to advocate for us to think about our roots and where we come from, and that there's all these possibilities. But I think also understanding that because of these systemic issues that are in place, it can be hard for us to imagine what that really can look like if you've never really seen it within your own myopic lens, like within your own immediate environment.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very, very well said. And back to Tyrone's point, we can't do it alone. as much as we would like that fairy tale to exist, it doesn't. Black people, we're gonna need allyship in order to assert change. It's just the way it is in America. So that's definitely the case. But as now, typically I wouldn't do this. I would only spotlight one person per week on our show during Black History Month. But an amazing thing happened last night, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm full Lakers gear, and there's a reason. Last night, history was made again, and so we get a double dose of history. If you didn't know, LeBron James is now the NBA all-time scoring leader, and this is huge. This was a record that stood for 38 years by one Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, formerly known as Lou Alcindor. What goes down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, player of all time. And LeBron James has been able to accomplish something that people never thought was going to happen. Kareem's record has stood for this long. It got to the point where people weren't even thinking about trying to break it. It was just like not. It was like one of those things that you just felt like was unattainable. And to see him do it last night was amazing. But if you didn't get to see him do it last night, you're in luck, because I'm gonna make sure that you do. Let's all appreciate this moment. Let's take a moment to see when the King was able to break the record. So here we go.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James. An embrace from his mother, Gloria. The starters here coming in. The boys, Bryce and Bronny. Savannah's white moment. What was once thought as an unbreakable record has just been broken by 38-year-old LeBron James.
On a step back against very good defense here by Kenrich Williams. Made him earn it.
Presentation coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. At this time, join us in honoring LeBron James.
Yeah, man, that was huge. Couple things. I want to just say that Gloria James, she's the one who really deserves this award. There would be no LeBron James, no breaking no record, none of that if his mom wasn't who she was. Gloria James deserves that award. LeBron went out and did it, but again, Gloria, like, she's just at that. And to see him be able to celebrate that with his family, I got a little choked up. I'm not a huge LeBron fan. I'm more of a Kobe fan. That's my guy. But he is a Laker, so I have to stand with him. But guys, is it me or was Kareem not happy? Kareem was. Should you be happy if somebody breaks your record?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I feel like he showed up to the game. He stood up and gave him his respect and stuff when he made the shot, when he got the award and stuff. So I feel like, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I would imagine, is still a very competitive person. So when that record went down, he was like, mother. All right. You know what I mean? Like I could definitely see that. So no shade to Kareem, and obviously, like you said, one of the greatest of all time. So.
Can I hate? Am I allowed to hate?
Hey.
Can I hate?
Yeah, and I'll be next. Go ahead.
Can I hate? All right, so we're going into the good end because Holly's gonna be nice, so let me hate. All right, congratulations to LeBron. This is Celtics fan, by the way. So congratulations to LeBron on breaking the record. I love the fact that you breaking the record is like it's like an analogy of your career. You broke the record, but you lost the game. I love it. Second of all, Kareem, you my dog, bro. I promise you that skyhook was the thing that nobody could block ever in life. I give you all the props in the world to be able to put that thing on all the major centers at the time, and none of them could do a damn thing about it, but just watch it go in every time. And I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I should not be saying these things. I will be beaten in Boston for saying this type of thing about the Lakers. So as a Laker hater, and by the way, hey NBA, stop it. Talk about he was well defended. The dude swiped at the ball and let him go. You stop that, NBA. You stop it. NBA, I have a thing for you. When LeBron retires, what are you gonna do? Who are you gonna talk about?
Kyrie.
I hope Kyrie's still playing ball. I hope he still got 4 years in him. I hope for real. But congratulations, though, Lakers. Yeah, whatever. You stopped the game in the third quarter. Yeah, like.
Yeah, we don't accept any of your congratulations. You don't, from a Boston fan, your congratulations are null and void over here. But go ahead, Ollie.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, well, I'm happy to see a Black man successful. I mean, you definitely know this podcast is run by men because I'm like, come on, Beyonce just beat. She's like Beyonce won the most Grammys of all time this past Sunday. And so I feel like that should be honored as well. So go Beyonce, you go girl, sell them tickets, make that money and earn them Grammys. Okay.
The Beehive.
Also,
that is why you are the queen of the multiverse. And in the gap for your women. For your ladies.
But on what Holly said too, Beyonce also got screwed out of that Album of the Year Grammy.
She did.
So not, it's
not her first time.
She should be celebrated and then celebrated a little bit more. And that should have been the case because that was Harry Styles.
Oh,
yeah, someone was like, who?
Where was Kanye when you needed him?
He had that popular TikTok song.
Exactly. That's a Kanye moment right there. He missed that.
He was supposed to walk up there and take the mic and say, the same thing.
I'm going to let you finish in a second, but.
That's album of the year.
Yeah, I'm not Beehive per se, but I just felt like that should be shared. At 32, and then her husband is not too far behind.
Nah, not at all. They made their power. Their power couple for a reason. And that bee, and them bees, bee got bees. Billions, if you didn't know. So we're gonna put that out in the atmosphere. But yes, congratulations to Beyonce, for making history as well. We didn't want to forget you, but LeBron, as a Laker fan and as a man, yes, LeBron was at the top of my list of congratulatory people today. So, but listen, guys, enough about LeBron. As much as I could probably sit here and talk about the Lakers the whole show. Today, we're going to talk about a good topic, and that is, how do you celebrate Black History Month? I want to start with you, Holly. How do you celebrate Black History Month?
Oh, I buy everything that's like Black-owned business. So you'll see me at Target buying all the products that are Black-owned. and supporting that. That's kind of how I try to look at it, like try to put money in supporting my people. I don't really get too much into the whole like month in itself per se, like in terms of like if it's something's happening at work or whatever. But I think for me it's like if certain larger corporations are highlighting like Black business owners, I try to buy products from them. And so, and I try to share their products on social media when I can. So like for one, I bought like a pillow from a Black owned designer, and she shares like positive affirmations in her pillows that like say glow or love, and they're like really happy, and I bought one, and then she gave me a shout out like on Instagram and TikTok for supporting her business. And yeah, so that's what I try to do, is support them financially during Black History Month and all year, but in particular, I go hard in Black History Month. Only Black owned businesses if possible. So.
All right, you go. How about you, Tyrone?
Me, a lot like Holly, like I don't know if I really like dive into the month outside of what I do like to do is I like to use it to make white folks uncomfortable sometimes. Like if they'll do something, innocuous, I'll be like, and Black History Month, really? That kind of thing. Just
remind them a little bit.
Yeah, just to, for 20
Do they ever apologize? Do they ever apologize when you do that? They're like, I'm so sorry.
Usually it's like, oh. It's one of those things like, oh, they got it, like that kind of a thing. So
my racism is showing. I'm so sorry.
And I'm Black. Yeah, but as far as just like the support of the Black community, it does tend to be a year-round, support and also just like not just support, but somebody like me, like I grew up in a interesting kind of environment. You know what I mean? So like a lot of my connection to my Black heritage and my culture has come later on in life. So, I do like to kind of ramp up the reading a little bit and educate myself on things that, that are usually a lot, kind of a lot more accessible and a lot more shared and stuff, during Black History Month, like what we're doing right now. Hopefully people go and they look into Marcus Garvey and they look into like, just the stuff he stood for and like I said, kind of his past and compare that, contrast it, that kind of thing. So that's sort of how I celebrate. And then just put it has, I feel like it's been kind of co-opted by corporations a little bit, and that, so it kind of like it
slow down.
All right. Yeah. Am I jumping ahead? All right. And then Black History Month. Oh my God.
Great. Well, how about you, Minnie? How do you celebrate Black History?
Well, obviously, as you can see, I wear black all month long. No, I'm just playing. But to be honest with you, when it comes to Black businesses, that's usually my practice. I have this thing when it comes to Black businesses, I try to support as much as I can, especially the small ones too. So that's all year round. But when it comes to Black History Month, personally, one, I like to, whatever I'm into, I collect comics and I collect stuff like that. So like I'll collect things that will be from like Black writers or Black artists and stuff like that. So then, I'm already doing that type of stuff. So I just guide it towards more helping us at that time and make sure that if there's 5 covers and one was done by a Black artist, I support that, things of that nature. So that, when it comes to that, and like Tyrone, I like to make white people uncomfortable, of course. It is Black History Month, why not? That's the reparations for you. But another thing, of course, is I have a child, so she gets Black History Month taught the way they teach it. So I would like to sometimes correct some things, sometimes add some things that are missing in context when they teach them something, and also show other types of people who have been just as influential as the people they're showing, or more influential, and they're not showing them for a reason. I'm not really a big fan of the way Black History Month is celebrated in schools, which is predominantly the reason why we relate blackness to what we relate blackness to as Black Americans. If we knew better, we would do better. So I would like to teach what better is, so she doesn't think that we just started at slavery and forward.
Interesting. I don't celebrate Black History Month, guys. I'm with you guys. I do it year round.
Mhm.
When this subject was brought up, I started thinking about when I was a kid. And one of the things that, since we didn't have social media, one of the things that my mom felt the need to invest in was Encyclopedia Britannicas. The only way that you got an Encyclopedia Britannica was that the door-to-door salesman had to come to your house, knock on your door, and tell you about this new program that we provide these books. I remember the two guys. They looked like Jehovah's Witnesses, and I don't want to say that Jehovah's Witnesses have a look, but you know you guys. But anyway, so they knocked at the door. She thought they were Jehovah's Witnesses, so we hid for probably about 30 seconds, and then they announced themselves, and she was felt a little bit more secure opening the door. But once she did, we got these volumes, right? And my mom used to do. I've never understood this until now, but my mom used to make me go and do book reports. She would like pick a certain person and make me go and read all of this material and then write this. They're like, I'm not getting any credit in school for this. This is work at home. What is this? But this was what my mom used to do. She used to have us learn about things that she felt like we needed to know. She never specified. My mom never specified this is Black history. She never specified that, but she just made sure that I was familiar with it. So it never resonated to me as like to consolidate my history to 1 month. It never registered. So like whenever Black History Month came and like people was like, oh, it's Black History Month. I always looked at like, well, isn't every month Black History Month? Like I don't know, maybe, but at that time, and being a kid, you're not that vocal. You're not trying to go against the grain or anything like that. But as an adult, now that I understand myself and know who I am, I realize that Black History Month it's a way of consolidating our history into 1 month, to where we start developing this mentality, or this, that we can only celebrate it in February. Like it's only supposed to be celebrated in February. Like we're not supposed to talk about Black history until February comes. And that's that leads us into my next question, guys, which I believe you guys already pretty much have answered. Is it time to change the way we view Black History Month? Is it time to maybe change the idea of a Black History Month and just incorporate it into our everyday lives? Is it time? How about that, Holly? I'll send that question to you first.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like, it's like a twofold. So I look at it from this aspect, from the marketing perspective of, it's easier to say, okay, we got this month for this group, this month for this group. I mean, that's just kind of how it rolls in corporate America, in the public school system. And I think going to a point where Tyrone was going to go down, like, kind of have been co-opted. So I do think we need to look at it differently. I think in recognizing that, right, for the people who have been marginalized, this is an everyday thing. And so we live our history, or part of it, we breathe it, we talk about it. It's, ingrained in our experience. And so I think we shouldn't look at it just being consolidated to 1 month, but again, it goes to changing the system and understanding, like, Black history is American history. And so we don't have American history to just 1 month. I mean, there's holidays in every month for around American history. So I think that's kind of, we just got Juneteenth like a couple of years ago. Like, so, I mean, it's kind of like, not to say we should be okay with that in terms of like, oh, we got Juneteenth, yay. But like, I think understanding that the politics that play a part in why it gets consolidated to 1 month for a lot of marginalized groups, and really changing how do we change that system that says, it's all history. So we should probably be talking about it more regularly, not just hyper focused on 1 month. And
here's another question on top of that.
Yeah.
As a mother and as a parent, when it comes to how you convey, Black history to your children, do you feel like you do it all the time, or is it like, do you feel like you more focus on it when it's February?
Oh no, I mean, I think for me, because we homeschool,
Yes.
we talk about it all the time. I think understanding, like, when we talk about, oh, my kids will ask who invented this, and then we talk about like who invented it and like what that means, or we talk about, if they ask me questions like why people are mean, and then we talk about like, slavery or like those kind of systemic things. So I try to like relate it to just history in general, and that's kind of how we talk about it. And then we also have resources like Brain Pop that kind of explain, like, on a more kid level, like what Black Lives Matter means, and like different things. If I'm not as entertaining as a robot and a kid in cartoons, but I think I try to just incorporate that history every day for them when they ask me questions, and it just requires for me to explain just more context, like what it really means to be Black in America.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. How about you, Tyrone?
I think it does. There are things that need to be changed. I do think I like the idea of having a month just to go extra hard, celebrate extra hard. That's cool. You know what I mean? It's fun. People can have fun around it and everything. But I think what it has done historically, and what it continues to do, is basically let people off the hook for 11 months. So if we do enough in February, or if we feel like we do enough in February, we can just go on about our business the rest of the year. So that's the part that needs to change. Because it's especially like Holly was talking about, systemic issues. Like right now, there are books being taken off shelves in schools in Florida simply because the idea of teaching an accurate and comprehensive Black history is scary to white people, to some white people. And that is, it's happening during Black History Month, and that's terrible. But also, it's just terrible that it's happening. So I feel like this is, if we're really going to get behind Black folks and market to Black folks and pander to Black folks, let's do some actual work. Get in the streets, like take yourself into the streets and stop laws like this from ever reaching the books. Stand up for people when you see people, being marginalized and being systemically oppressed. You can't just you can't just wear a t-shirt here or there, or buy a few things here or there, go to a party here or there, and just decide you're done for the rest of the year, because those problems don't stop. The challenges that are faced by Black folks in this country don't stop in March. They keep going for the rest of the year. So I would say that part of it needs to change, and that it just kind of lets people off the hook. But still, we can. I think Black History Month maybe should be moved to June, so it'd be like for Black folks. You know what I mean? Like I could, just
You're big in a hot month. Come on, like can we barbecuing and celebrating?
Gatherings. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just for us, that would be great. You know what I mean? And then we could deal with the systemic issues as well. But there's a lot that needs to be changed, and I don't know if I'm sure we're going to get to the way companies use Black History Month. So I'll abstain from that conversation and control myself until we get there.
Thank you for doing that. I do have one more question for you, because after listening to Marcus Garvey's speech, I think one of the things that it seems as though is starting to finally hit for Black people is that we need to assert ourselves in a way that we create spaces for all of this stuff, rather than just continuing to depend on our let me see, I'll try to find maybe you can, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I guess I'll call them our predecessors. Our predecessors established this country and made all the rules that we're kind of under the guidelines of. So when it comes to these months that Holly mentioned, where you have these groups that have a month, consolidated for them. We got Spanish heritage and We got Black History and all of that. But yet, the full 12 months of the year, there is no white month. It's just year round. And it's almost because, well, it's not even almost, it's because of what he said. If you depend on another race, then you open yourself up to be controlled. And this is a way of controlling us in essence. Like if what you said is absolutely true. If we consolidate to 1 month and then we zero in on that month, then what happens in March and April and January and all of that? We're now not having that same energy that we're expending in February. We save up all our energy all year to use in February, the shortest month in the year. And then after February goes, then we're right up back to life as usual. And that's kind of been, am I wrong? Has it not been like kind of a rotating, a 360-degree revolution, just continuing in the same 360, just
I feel like Juneteenth has added some momentum there a little bit in the last few years, where you do get a lot of people saying they're not even going to celebrate July 4th, and there's actually like a whole like two-sided conversation around that. But I feel like the Juneteenth, where a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't even know about Juneteenth, embracing that. There's a whole lot of merch around that. There's a lot of, so I'm saying, I'm not saying it's significantly improved, but I feel like the awareness around Juneteenth and what that does mean is more on people's minds.
Yeah.
So Holly, with that statement, should we as Black people continue to be okay with getting scraps?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I'm just, I'm just saying that's all the progress that's been made.
Right.
Like I said, but do I think there should be more? Absolutely. I think, we should pull up to the table, pull up everywhere and see if we can get more. But I think the systems just need a lot of work. And so if we can solve all of those problems in a day.
Yeah. And to, to go a little bit further on this, it's not, this is going to sound ridiculous, but part of the reason why things happen the way they do, it's not just Black History Month. It's not just a Black History Month thing, right? If you even look at the way things happen in in 2020, when there was the huge swell of support for Black Lives Matter, there were people in the streets, there were protests, people were, corporations were like, oh, donate this money and that money and stuff. That energy is gone now. Nothing has changed, but that energy is gone now. And what it really comes down to is it's not in the best interest of those in power to keep those movements going and to support those movements. So there's no real incentive for anybody outside of the Black community to help the Black community until you start to look at the issues and look at the systemic issues that oppress us all. So, and when I say oppress us all, I mean like the rest of the rest of the people without power. Let's just say that I'm choosing my words carefully here, but it's just, to your question though, it is cyclical, and it's cyclical because it needs to be that way for things to keep on going the way they are. It protects the status quo, and it keeps things just where they are, to where like, yeah, we can survive a 2020 here or there, or like we can do some Black History Month stuff and put a little money over here to keep things cool, to keep things at the level so we can just move on when it's over. It's, you say, are we cool with getting strapped, or should we be cool with getting straps? Absolutely not. Scraps. Absolutely not. But it's going to continue that way if we continue to just kind of like follow the same script that's been written for the entire duration of this country's existence.
Yeah, absolutely. That was what I was kind of saying, Holly, to your point, is that in Marcus Garvey's speech, he's speaking to those people, the Black people that have accepted this mentality that we should be okay with less than and being marginalized. We should be okay with. He was speaking directly to those people, because and this is not a shot at you at all, but there is a popular mentality that moves throughout the Black community when we get these little pieces like a Juneteenth. Oh, there's progress. There's a little, we made some progress. And if we keep allowing that to be the standard of our that reaches our approval, then to Tyrone's point, the powers of that be will not, they're not going to do anything outside of what they've already been doing. So it remains cyclical because there's no point where we're over here like, no, we're not accepting that. We're more celebrating Juneteenth, like, oh, okay, we got Juneteenth. Yo, yeah, woo. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I understand as Black people, when you don't have shit and then you get shit, you get excited. Like a kid who gets the toy and that didn't have any toys. It's like, oh, I got a toy. It doesn't matter what that toy is. You could give him a little army man that costs 5 cents. If he didn't have a toy before and you give him that toy, he's excited. Oh, mom, look, I got a toy. Because we never had that. And that's why I'm like, it has to start somewhere, right? We have to start somewhere where we're at the point where we're like, are we just going to keep on just being okay with this and just, you know what I'm saying? Or are we going to enact something? Are we going to do something? Or are we going to just keep sitting back and just letting this stuff keep happening? Go ahead, Tyrone.
I want to add real quick that the only place where I differ from you is I don't believe that's a mentality that is a fault of the Black folks that fall, that kind of have that reaction. I think it's a symptom of white supremacy that causes that reaction. It's a very specifically indoctrinated idea to say, any little progress is progress. It's why, it's the same thing that causes us to celebrate Rihanna because she's a billionaire, or Beyonce and Jay-Z because they're super powerful and they've got a bunch of money, even though they're not really doing much to look back and kind of open doors and stuff like that. It's like, we're just happy to get something as a people, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing. The only thing is I take the blame off of Black folks for that, and I put it onto the system that creates that symptom.
Now there, you're right. I think we have the same beliefs in that sense, but I was taught a long time ago, right? The difference between stupidity and ignorance. Ignorance is that when you're not aware, you're totally not aware. Stupidity is when you continue to do the shit and you know that the shit is wrong. And we're at a point in our society where if you're still ignorant, it's because you choose to be. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many outlets, there's so many resources, there's so much, like, information has never been so easy to access as it is right now. And so as Black people who are becoming informed or have been informed, don't we have to at some point put the onus? Because you can sit here and say what the slave master did to me 10,000 years ago affected how, but at some point, somebody in that family has to make a decision to either change the way that they look at life, learn to improve themselves, or find some other way. We can't keep on just saying like, oh, this is, yes, it is an example of what happens after white supremacy and capitalism come into the play. But at some point, we have to start, thinking outside the box and using our heads, because we can't just keep saying blaming it all on that and just keep moving, because that's what we've been doing and nothing's changing.
I'm going to step aside for Minister Minnie to say,
yeah.
I want to hear what you got to say.
All right. So, by the way, someone did tell me that I was wearing my church glasses. I am not. I am Minnie Master X for the next 55 seconds. So hold on to your britches. To answer, I'll try to at least be able to go ahead and my brother Bad Tie Bricks to elaborate a little bit on what he's saying and try to set him on the right way. I understand everything you're saying, my brother, but I will interject and say this. The reason why we cannot go and be better is because all the reasons Marcus Garvey was saying for the first time. We have been indoctrinated to this bullshit of thinking we're lesser than. The people you're speaking of that need to speak up for themselves to be able to change are the same people who are watching TikToks about every other bullshit that's gonna materialistic things that have been shined in front of us to make us think that we're better because we have a BMW, because we have a chain, because we have all kinds of shit. That's why the shit ain't gonna change. Second of all, as well, the system will never change because if the system wanted to change, it will be detrimental to the system and it will have to explain a lot of things. Like, once again, you were saying, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Okay, well, we did. We have. You have to think about things like the Black Wall Street. You have to think about things like that. When we did progress, we did put the onus on ourselves. We did move forward, and what they did, bomb the fuck out of us. What you got to think about is every time somebody has the same thought that you have had, that is going to go ahead and progress the system, the system has shut them the fuck down. Whether it's killing them or whether it's suppressing the information or whether it's victimizing or vandalizing whoever that person is. So can we move forward? Yes, we can. But we have to know and we have to be able to take the risk of knowing what comes with moving forward as a people, as holding these people accountable for the things they have done. Things that I've mentioned before. We talk about Contra. We talking about Reaganomics. We talking about all these kinds of things. So who?
Wilmington, North Carolina. Another one to your point.
Thank you. You see what I'm saying? So you have to hold these people accountable first for the things they have done before we can move forward, and that will never happen because the system will not allow it. So can the system change when it comes to Black History Month and us actually knowing who we are? Hell to the no. You think somebody gonna tell you that Black people taught you how to take a bath? They ain't never going to admit that shit. That the reason why you know how many months there is and the reason why you know where the stars are at is because we taught you.
But you're really making my point, Minnie, because
I am.
Yeah, you're making the point that I'm saying. Like you, there's no way you would even know about any of that unless the information was present for you to find that information and learn that. And that's what I'm saying. That was something that what I'm saying is I'm talking about from each individual standpoint. I'm not talking about a conglomerate because at the end of the day, right now, Black people are separated. We have been separated because that was the plan and enacted. But at this point in our lives, do we not have to search ourselves individually to find the stuff that Marcus Garvey was talking about, which is understanding what you come from. That's what I'm saying. Like when you start to think about
how though.
But this is what I'm saying. You got to look. I'm sorry, Holly, but you were saying.
No, I was just saying you have to know how. Like what I'm saying is like sometimes I get what you're saying. There, like Google's everywhere. People could walk to a library and just type in what is Blackness, what is Black. Like I totally get it, but some people's worlds are so small. They have no idea. They live in the rural area. They don't got no electricity. Like that doesn't even seem like a possibility. So we also have to consider like the sociological and psychological factors that play a part in why sometimes people just can't get out of their own way. And that's what I'm saying. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think we just have to consider those other aspects to this larger problem, because I agree with what Minnie's saying, but I think it's always to the point too. Like they're just people who can't get out of their own way because they don't know how. And it's not necessarily like a lack of intelligence. It's just sometimes like if your world is just living out in the country and being a farmer, you don't even think about Black History Month or any of those things about being Black. You're just trying to survive. And so I think I don't want to minimize that. That's it. That's all.
I totally appreciate your point, Holly. And what I'm speaking to is the ignorance as opposed to the stupidity. So those people you just mentioned, they're ignorant because they're not aware. So I'm not faulting them for their ignorance. What I'm saying is, and what I've been saying is, this speech that I played for you guys was back in the 1900s. Okay, it is 2023 we're in right now, and everything that he spoke on to this point is still not being digested by the populace. Like I'm not speaking to the ignorant, because if they're in a rural area and don't have access to internet and all of those kind of things, who am I to judge them on their belief systems or what they were raised from the people that are around them? I'm speaking to the people that have access to our show, the people that have access to the internet, Those people that feel like we're still being marginalized, we're still not receiving reparations, we're still not progressing to where we should be, there's still not equality. Those are the people I'm actually speaking to. The people that have the common sense and I'll even say the intellect to understand and to change, but choose not to because they're in a comfortable space. That's what I'm talking. That's who I'm talking to because they're more comfortable with what's already been set before them. That's who I'm talking to. Go ahead, Minnie.
And I understand that completely. And there are people out there who do not choose not to change because they are comfortable. And you are 100% correct because the system is working for them. So as long as the system is working for them, they see nothing wrong with the system, right? So I understand that completely. My whole point of it is even the folks who are not with the coonery, let's just say that by going along with the system, they have never seen something that has been incentivized by going against the system. Every time you have seen someone or something go against the status quo, it has been fucked up. So that's what I'm saying is the fear. So that's what I said a prefix beforehand. If you're willing to change, you have to be willing to accept what comes with that change because you have to hold people accountable after that. So once you do that, you are seen in a different way and in a different light. And knowing that some people are not willing to take that risk because of financial reasons, because of all kinds of things. So they go along with the status quo and with the system because going against it, even though they know it's immoral, at the same time, it's beneficial to their pocket. So as always, the capitalism goes in there too. But that's my only thing. I understand what you're saying, but there's a caveat of other things, other reasons why. Not saying that any of those reasons that I mentioned beforehand were good reasons at all for you not to go ahead and hold people accountable for the fuckery they have done. I am of the team that you have to change. You have to do the things like teach your children the actual Black history, and you have to teach the people around you who don't know, who need to learn, or who would like to learn of the actual things that make us who we are and makes the world go around other than what you're taught in school. I am from that school of knowledge, but I do understand why people do not make that jump sometimes because it's beneficial to them.
Can I add a little bit to that real quick? Because I think this is, I love what Minnie said. And when we talk about making change and stuff like that, it's a very big question of how, like Holly said, like, how does it happen? When we play by the rules are turned right back around on us. And sometimes it's just people will just play by completely different rules to make sure we don't win. It's why I brought up Wilmington, North Carolina earlier. It was when Black folks in that city actually gained political power and had standing in that city, and the white citizens in that city were having none of it. So they literally, it was the only successful coup on American soil. They literally went and overthrew that local government, killed hundreds of Black folks, and chased the rest out of the city to the point where they were like, okay, well, it's ours again. And that was Black folks who decided that they were going to make a change. They were going to stand up. They were going to put themselves in positions of power. And then when they played by the rules and when they got into that position, they were immediately taken out of it. You know what I mean? So it's those kinds of things where the question of how and like what do we do next is a huge question, and it's an uncomfortable question because when we look back at how it's been done before, we're like, well, shit, if we can't do it this way, what way is there?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, I thought this made a lot of sense to bring this up because a lot of people don't even know where Black History Month initially started. And this is more Black history, so you're welcome. Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history. Woodson in 1926 launched the annual February observance, Negro History Week, which became Black History Month in 1976. Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching. That's exactly what I'm speaking about right now. And it's funny that we're all talking about it because what we're saying is that fear has been perpetuated throughout our community, from the time that we came into this country, and it's still being perpetuated. And it's to the point where we may want change, but we don't know how to assert it in a way where we're safe. Like it seems as though this notion and this fear has crippled us in a way to where we can't actually enact change unless we do it discreetly. Like, you know what I'm saying? In a way that doesn't offend and is non-offensive. And it's just it's surprising to me that these, like, as much as we've gone through, as much as we've seen, that we are still in that mentality. I don't know, man. I've never had that fear. And I've been around white people in racist communities. I live in South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So I've been right face to face with it. You know, like them calling me out of my name and all of that, and more than one and all of that, and never had any fear. And I understand that this is different because this is the type of stuff that you won't see coming. Maybe that's why. Because I don't fear what I can see, what's present in front of me. I think the fear comes from what you don't see, right? It's the stuff that happens, the assassins, the ones that creep in the night, and you find out, oh, you wake up the next morning, it's the activist such and such died discreetly, and they drowned in their pool, even though they were by all recollects, they were you know, a grade A swimmer, but this is a loss. And then we're like, oh, like, dang, I'm so sorry. But no one sits there and is like, yo, how did this happen? You know, and you know, I don't want to get into all of that. But one of the things that I did want to finish the show up with, Tyrone, and I'll let you go ahead and get your point in, is to the point that you brought up, is Black history being co-opted. And that brings us up to the next question of the day, which is Black History Month FUBU, for us, by us? You know, we just told you that who established it, but established a form of it, and then it was reestablished by our government in 1976. But I'm going to shoot that question over to you, Tyrone. And if you wanted to make your point on the last thing, you can go ahead and do that first.
Oh, actually, I didn't really have a point to make. Just wanted to say, I hope we maybe pick this conversation up again during this month, or at any point, because I think it's a great conversation of like
next week,
how and all that good stuff. And then just so is it by us? Absolutely. We saw that it was absolutely by us. Is it for us? I don't know. I it doesn't feel like it's for us. It feels like it's more sort of just like a, you know, just kind of a novelty for a lot of people, you know. I mean, look at the shit they did down in Miami, putting Black History Month on one of their police SUVs, you know. Like that to me, that is a blatant disrespect of the very spirit of Black History Month, and it's there's no better metaphor for like the systemic disrespect that is rampant in history, especially Black history. So does it feel like it's for us? Not all the time.
How about you, Holly?
I kind of agree with Tyrone. I mean, definitely, you know, bias. Is it for us? I think it depends what space you're in, because I do feel like I do know of networks where it is very much for us, bias, Black owned businesses in particular. Like, they really do go hard to promote, like, and I'll say this on LinkedIn because that's a lot of my network too. I think I see them sharing, like, during Black History Month, hey guys, I got sponsored by Target, and I took the photographs for all these people that got high. I don't know. I just feel like in certain spaces, it can be that way and really feel that way, that like Black pride and it is about us. But I say, like, overall, no. I mean, I feel like everyone has their buy-in and stake around the marketing around it, and it's just good business if you support Black History Month. If you don't, what are you doing? You're not promoting DEI. Come on. So yeah, but I do feel like in certain spaces it is very for us, by us, but as a whole, not really.
That question posed the same question to you, Benny.
Well, like I said, they answer if it's by us. Obviously, we saw what it was. At least the initial thought of it.
Yeah.
Whoever put it in place, we already know what that is. But is it for us? That's up to us. It's up to us to what we do with it. are we going to take it and run with it and actually make it a thing for us that we put ourselves up, be able to look at businesses? We can even do something like on February, everybody can look at businesses and see who doesn't have a black CEO. Oh, you want to support us? How come you don't have a black CEO? Oh, how come you don't have a black staff member? How come you don't have, you know what I'm saying? We can do that. And it can really be for us, by us. So we're getting all these opportunities that we should be having so we can actually flourish and move forward. So things of that nature. So it's what we do with it that determines if it is by us or not. I mean, for us or not.
I think initially it was for us. And I totally agree with Tyrone. I think at some point it became distorted and it became co-opted and became a way to do what is done in this country, which is make a dollar. That for me is why I feel like it was initially for us, but then it somehow, on its journey got distorted and then started being something else. Is it bias? I mean, I think the initial thought process again was bias, but I feel like the more and more I look at this and how it's consolidated, I feel like it's a slap in the face. I feel like it was an accommodation, like you said, Tyrone, a novelty. I feel like anytime you have to consolidate your history into 1 month, when everybody, well, not even everybody else's history, but when white history and American history is separated from Black history, even though Black history is what established America, it doesn't make any sense. It's just like that part doesn't. I can never wrap my head around that, how they're separate. When there would really be no American history if there's no Black history. Like there just won't. It's like there's no America. There's no building any of these things or any foundational things unless you have Black people. And so when I hear February, the least amount of days, a month with 28 days, the only month with 28 days, and then you give it to us, it's like here. And then you kick me in my butt as I walk out the door with the gift you just gave me. That's how I feel when I hear Black History Month being celebrated in February, the shortest month. Just that's just me, and I don't think I'm ever gonna stop feeling that way. And that's probably why I teach my kids the way that I teach my kids, which is just talk about Black people. We talk about Black people all the time. We talk anytime, any opportunity we get a chance to talk about Black people. My kids talk about them, and those, you want your kids to be in that space where they start asking you questions, so you can do that. And we have that type of environment over here where we just always, any question, it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how crazy it is. If you heard something, we're gonna address it. Like, my son asked me the other day, and this, I wasn't prepared, but I guess they're talking about it in his elementary school. But they're talking about sex already in elementary school, and he's only in the first grade. So
Wow.
He came and told me that so they were talking about PPs, and one boy said he puts his PP in a girl the mouth.
Wait a minute. Lord.
Yeah,
you about to get us banned, boy. You better chill out with that. You about to get
elaborate any further on it, but I think it's important that, because I once you have kids, you'll definitely probably run into the same thing, unless you homeschool them, like Holly, like you have those issues. And I'm starting to feel like homeschool was the best choice, and might need to go back to that.
Demon children, I cannot do it for my children.
Holly's gonna get a knock at her door, and it's gonna be Ty's kids like, "We're here for school."
Listen, yes, I have a lot of resources. I do have a little homeschool set up, so let me know.
Facts, man. If she was a little bit closer to commute, but I'm glad we were able to kind of address this conversation. We're definitely going to continue these conversations throughout Black History Month. And for your information, moving forward, the multiverse will every week spotlight someone in Black history, someone who afforded us the rights that we have, afforded us the privileges that we have, and just talk about those individuals and just big them up because they deserve to be bigged up because here we are today and have much more than we did then. Still not satisfied. I don't think we ever will be, but that's a different conversation. But listen, guys, we're at the end of the show. I'm gonna run through these must-watch TVs, flicks. We've already pretty much ran through most of them, and I'm open to any new suggestions if you guys have been watching anything. But still on the top of our list, and I don't know that this one will be beat, guys. The Last of Us is so good. Oh my gosh. Holly, is this show like is it time to just put this up there with our one of the greatest TV series? Is it time? Or am I moving too fast?
No, I mean it's up there, but I'll see. Let's see how the season ends. I don't need to be like Game of Thrones and you disappoint me at the very end, and I'm like, oh my god, really? The last season, you killed it. Yeah. So let me just wait till the end, and then I'll make make a decision. But it's great. I like it. Watch it. I'm gonna actually binge on it again Saturday, all the episodes, and so that way, come Saturday, everything's nice and fresh.
You got another one on Friday.
Yeah, they're actually releasing
on Friday because the Super Bowl is Sunday, so they're playing it on Friday.
See, I'm already behind. Thank God. Doctors.
Thank God for Must Watch TV. We keep you informed.
I know. Yeah, there you go, guys. But I'm still gonna binge it on Saturday. Then I'll just watch all of them right straight through.
You got them all. Southside, one of me and Tyrone's favorites. Funny. If you want just to laugh your butt off, go check that out. It's on HBO Max, streaming now for your viewing pleasure. HBO Max is kind of killing the game right now, starting to kill the game with some of these shows. I'll still put Teen Wolf out there. I think if you haven't seen it, if you're a Teen Wolf fan, I know Lisa's a Teen Wolf fan. Go check out the movie. It wasn't bad. So that's another one. I don't have a visual for the next one, but I think it drops Friday. And My Dad's a Bounty Hunter. Isn't it? And isn't that the name of it?
Netflix show. Yeah, My Dad the Bounty Hunter. Yeah,
My Dad the Bounty Hunter. It is a Black animated movie on Netflix. So far the reviews are in and people are loving it. So tune in to Netflix and see if you can catch that one. Anything anybody else is watching?
Black Panther: Wakanda Forever dropped on Disney Plus. So now it's time to start your daily rewatch.
Don't forget the actual best Star Wars show of all time, unlike Tyrone likes to believe. Mando is back after the Super Bowl. So baby Mando, you're gonna have a little preview because March 1st, Mando's coming. So remember, just be on the lookout for the best Star Wars show of all time.
So are you saying that the new trailer is coming out on the Super Bowl then?
Yes.
It's not the show, right? The new trailer?
Yes, not the show. March 1st is the show.
Okay. Well, yeah, you want to definitely be tuned into at least the halftime show. If nothing else, we got Rihanna performing this Sunday at the Super Bowl. You know how the Super Bowl commercials go. It's one of the reasons why so many people in the States and outside of the States tune in. You're gonna get some of the best commercials you possibly are gonna get all year. So definitely want to tune into the Super Bowl. Anything on the way out, guys? Any upcoming events? Anything you want to let anybody know that you got coming up? Anything?
Just thank you for watching. If you're in the New York area, be a Butterboy at Littlefield NYC on Monday night at 8. And yeah, that'll be fun. And see you next week. Can't wait.
Follow me at Minnie Morales, as you see on Instagram right there. I would like to tell you on Friday, I will be doing a show with Chichi Get the Yayo. The man has been on Carlito's Way. He was in Scarface. I will be doing a show with him on Friday. That's in Orlando. So if you're in Orlando, please come see us. It's gonna be a good time. Remember, last out, you are Black history. Okay, so be out there and do the best you can to represent us in the best light. Do your thing. Study yourself. Study where you come from. And you are history. You are part of Black history. Don't ever forget that.
right.
Oh,
Anything,
right.
Holly?
Okay. Yeah. So Friday, for all of you, I will be doing a Pinterest live at 8 o'clock. Tune in for beauty and skincare on Pinterest. And I may go live on Facebook after the fact to share those tips because Pinterest is not allowing me to share on multiple platforms. so, so anyways, check me out on Pinterest, follow me. All that stuff is on my Facebook page. And yeah, support Black content creators and Black History Month for our allies. Go
Right.
ahead.
Right. Yeah. I tuned in personally to your and I must say, listen, Holly's already beautiful, but Holly, when she beats that, woo, she beats it. She beat it. I'm talking about that face was beat to the gods. Yes, well, that's not.
Y'all are so silly.
I'm serious. Like so y'all definitely want to tune in for all of her makeup advice and everything like that. And you too can be Holly Noon for a day. So all right. Last but not least, if you have any suggestions, if there are any topics you would like the Multiverse podcast to talk about, please feel free to email us at multiversepodcast@gmail.com. I do try to check that daily. I may miss a couple days here and there, but if you do email us, I will try to get back to you as soon as possible about whatever your inquiries are. Also, if you like Tyrone, or you like me, or you like us both, you can see us on Saturday at the New Blurred Order.
Man, what is going on?
At 10 a.m.
What's going on?
10 a.m. I mean, hey, you know, brothers, we brothers. So you can come follow us at 10 a.m. right here on YouTube, right here on Facebook or YouTube at 10 a.m. Saturday morning, New Blurred Order. We have a huge guest this week, so you definitely want to tune in. Tiffany Starchild will be joining us, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So you definitely want to pull up. If you like anything, all things nerdy, all things geeky, all things cool, pull up. We have a lot of fun. Outside of that, I want to give a special shout out to the Financial Griot. We will be getting Lawrence on here soon. Lawrence, pull up, man. I know you be watching the show, bro. Pull up. I'm DMs though. Well, I'm gonna holler at you. But yeah, I want to give a special shout out to them, and of course the New Blurred Order. And again, guys, this was a great conversation. Next week's topic, again, we're going to be talking about Black history, as it is Black History Month. But our topic of discussion next week will be the Titanic is going down. Is it time to abandon ship? I know you're probably wondering, are we talking about the Titanic, the ship? No, we're talking about America. It is the Titanic in this scenario. So we'll be talking about, is it time to get the hell out or stay? You'll be the judge. But we'll talk about that next week. So on behalf of myself, Bad Ty Bricks, and Holly Noon, Tyrone Thornhill, and Minnie Morales, we are the Multiverse Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to the comment section. And until next week, we're out.